once I pulled the pin out, which is like that horseshoe pin. Now in my case, naturally, it's been in there for so long, it doesn't want to come out. So I'm probably going to have to rap on it a few times. It's been in there a long time, it really has, so. You know, it's funny because I didn't even remember this until I did everything that probably everybody else did. I first checked the tank. Let me go over here for a minute. I drained the tank. Then I took this off, went through the air filter. I went through the carburetor. I took the carburetor off because I wanted to clean the bowl, and the only way to make sure there was no water in the bowl, because water can have an issue if you get water in the bowl. And so I had to take the carburetor off to clean the bowl. The line was clean. I had no problems with that. While I had it open, I decided I'm just going to put a filter on there because there was no gas filter on this, which was crazy. So I had a spare. Okay. Today the wife is home. It's Saturday. It is October what? Let's see. It is October 21st, 2017, at 11:30. It's a Saturday. It's a nice day. I want to get a lot done. This is being stubborn. It doesn't want to come out. So while I'm going to get some of, let me see. What do I want to put in there? Well, you know what? Let me talk about something first. I went through everything that everybody else went through. And I also remembered Matt having this problem last night. I was going to work on this yesterday morning. I started and I says I got to stop because yesterday I had my 5-year colonoscopy. Yes. And I'll tell you guys and gals, do it. It's worth being done. Once I hit 50, 55, I don't remember. Every 5 to 6 years, I have it done. That's it. Need it or not, I have it done. Have it done. It sneaks up on you. You'll never know. I'm telling you, by the time you find out, it's going to be too late. So, it doesn't hurt. All right? It's not a big deal. The hardest part is the day before or the night before. You know, when you got to go through your cleansing. And it's not a hard part. It's just a little bit of an inconvenience. But I can't stress it more. Get it done. And constantly. Don't just get it done once. Oh, fine. And then forget about it. My dad died of colon cancer, which traveled to his bones. And it was just beyond operable at that point. He didn't even know it because he never went to the doctor. Didn't even know it. There's no pain. Just, you know, you don't know it. So get it done, guys. I'm telling you. And gals. All right. Now, my first one, believe it or not, I was awake. I told him, listen, just sedate me a little bit to take the pain away. You know, I don't mind even a little pain, you know, a cramp here and there. But, you know, I want to see, I want to watch, I want to be able to talk. You know, I want to, you know, I'm curious that way anyway. You know what I mean? So at that point, that's how it was. So I watched it. You know, when they pump the air into you, you know, you get a little bit of a cramp. You know, like you got to do you got to let wind, you know, and you got that cramp. But it's only for like a second or two, you know. I mean, it's not like, you know, you're living with it. And it's over. I mean, half an hour. It's worth it, guys. Get it done. So, but meanwhile, I, at this point, know, and I have been a perfect asshole for some time now. No polyps, no nothing. Good. So, and that's also what's good about making sure you eat a lot of fiber and make sure you clean that puppy out. You want something to go down there that's going to Clean those walls. All right. You can't get some sandpaper and a grinder in there, so do it with your food. All right. Roughage. Anyway, guys, I did everything that I'm sure everybody else did. I first checked the gas tank, you know, and it had gas in it. The cap, I tried it with and without the cap on. I know the cap's good. So I said, well, okay, at this point, let me check the plug. I checked the plug. Then I decided, well, let me pull the hose off the tank and drain the tank. So I pulled the hose. First, I took the air filter off and checked that as well. Okay. And then I pulled the hose off from the carburetor side because I wanted the hose so that I could hang it down and drain the gas into a can. Because I didn't know there might have been water in the tank. You know, you don't know. Anything can happen over the years. You know, sweat, moisture. Meanwhile, I checked the plug, I checked the filter, pulled the cap, emptied the tank. I then flushed out the tank. I actually ran some not carb cleaner, brake cleaner through it and got it out. Then I put a little gas through it and let it drip out. And I just let it hang. And then I decided, well, let me check the carburetor, the bowl. Well, you can't get the bowl off the carburetor down there. Let's take the carburetor off. So I took the carb off, took the bowl out, just in case there was water in the bowl. No water in the bowl. So I cleaned all that when I was done, put it all back together. I got that back in. Everything was fine there. So everything is fine fuel-wise. Spark-wise, spark plug and everything is okay. Now, I hadn't checked the arrestor, but I ain't really concerned about that. I don't think that would have caused a problem. So then I was watching YouTube last night. I think it was last night. I was watching one of Matt's videos. And by the way, Matt, congratulations on your weight loss, guy. I was just on one of your sites, on one of your pages, when you were working on that DeWalt power washer. And you got back to me and called it the Unsensor, which I appreciate that. But I was looking at your video, and the weight loss that you had lost is phenomenal. Keep up the good work. All right? Guys, if you want to see Matt when he was fat Matt, go back and look at a video 2 years ago and then compare him to today. All right? So, but meanwhile, it is now lit down to where Matt was telling me how I just said what it was, and now I can't remember what it was. The unloader valve. Okay, so meanwhile, that's where I'm at. I'm on the unloader valve. So I'm going to flip this up a little bit so I can get some cleaner or some oil or in there and let it stay and work on it from a different angle. The caps are all tight, so I'm not going to lose anything anywhere because there is oil and everything in here. Oil levels are good. I checked all that. So now I'm just going to kind of put this on a little bit of an angle so I can fill up that little area where the unloader valve is. That little inside ledge. If I tip it up a little bit, I can fill that up a little bit. So that's what I'm going to do now. Whoop, sorry guys. I'm not going to do it a lot, just a little bit. Just enough to knock the camera around. Well, I'm not, yeah, sure. Let me do that a few more times. All right. Now, let me get some. Yeah, I never really knew about this squirrel piss. One day I was watching, what was his name? He's out there. He hasn't been on in a while. Nice guy. I think he's a prison guard or something. He has a ranchero or something. He lives in a warm weather climate. I know that. I can't remember his name. But one day he was working on something and he says he's going to get some squirrel piss, put that on there. Oh, sure. Well, that's going to even make life easier because it just broke. And I said, what the hell is squirrel piss? What the hell is this guy talking about? Now, I knew that it wasn't squirrel piss. So I had to be a funny guy at this point. I sent him a message and saying, okay, I like to see this. So how do you catch the squirrel and get him to piss on your part? Yeah. All right, and then I said, okay, what is squirrel piss? And at that point, he had told me what it was, and everything was good. Now, as you can see, it broke. I don't know if I'm going to be able to get on it or not. I may have to whack it a few times and hopefully not break the housing. So I don't want to whack it hard. You want to take your time because I don't want to have to replace the pump. I'm going to let that sit for a minute, guys. I'll be right back. Alright, so what I'm going to do is try to clean out that crap hole as much as possible. I'm going to use this piece that I had to adapt to this. I put a brass brush on the end of it. And now I'm going to at least get the surface of it cleaned out, just in case there's a little lip or ridge of dirt in there. You know, you don't think about these things until it's too late, or until something happens. Because again, now with this being in there, for the years that it's been in there, you know, it's going to be difficult to get out. That's if I can get it out at all. I mean, so this is where we're at this point. I don't want to get too much shit on this lens. There's a spot or two on this lens from when I was doing the tires that I can't get off with normal cleaner. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to compound it out a little bit later. I'll show you. I don't recommend not everybody to do it, but sometimes it'll work. So I'm thinking I'm not going to be able to do any high-speed buffing on the lens, but I think I might be able to get that spot off there if I use some microfinish and some Q-tips. So that's going to be my my afternoon adventure if I can ever get this out of here. See, it looks like it's got a little movement, but I'm still not getting down inside. So this may take a couple days because if I break that off, I'm screwed. And this thing does not seem to want to come out. So, alright, so I'm not going to waste your time anymore with that. Like I say, I did everything with the fuel system in Spark that I thought it would have been. And then I remember Matt had the problem with his one of his customers' units, and it was just something as easy as replacing the unloader valve. And I'm going to try it because I've also ran a few other videos on it, on the unloader valve, and it seems that could be a culprit. Now, if I had thought about it or maybe read the manual on this thing when I first bought this thing, I may have just changed that out every couple of years. It would have made life a lot easier. I can't see where it's going to cost a whole lot of money. But at that point now, it may end up costing a lot of money because, oh, wait a minute now. Wait a minute. There might be a lock screw here. This one may be different than some of the other ones. It may end up costing a lot of money if I have to buy a new power washer. Because again, I'm not going to buy a new pump. Well, depending on the price, let's put it that way. You know, if I got to spend $150, $200 for a pump, well, then it's worth it. But if the pump's going to cost me $300 or better, I'll just buy another power washer. I think I paid $500 for this thing. I don't know what they're going for now. So I should just get a ratchet for that. Why am I fooling around with this? All right, let me get right back to you guys. Once I pulled the pin out, which is like that horseshoe pin, and if you watch other videos, you'll see how it's in there. It actually goes in through, and there's two channels behind that holds it in place, basically. And mine, in this case, is frozen in because it's been a number of years. And I'm trying to work on it from the outside and broke it off, as you can see. Because there was a spring on this with an adjuster, which I have no idea why they would put an adjuster on there. I guess it is adjustable. I didn't even think of that, but being that old and everybody else replacing them, we just replaced it. But I broke it off, as you can see. Meanwhile, I decided to get some gun cleaner, which is brake-free, and it's also got a lubricant in it as well. And I cut the nozzle because it wouldn't fit in there any other way. And as I'm spraying this in there, I know you guys seen I just cleaned that with the brass brush, but as I'm doing this, it is actually cleaning out a lot of gook. And if you look at the end of this thing, you can see that it's filled with gook. So I'm going to let that soak for a few minutes, and every now and then I'm going to come over and just give it a little love tap with the hammer. Nothing serious, because I don't want to break it. So when I say love tap, that's just what I mean. Just a little kiss. Actually, this hammer would probably be too big, but I'm just going to give it a little of that. And maybe a little bit of this around the edges. In case we can, maybe we can kind of break that free. And as you know, when in doubt, the phone will ring. Alright, well that phone call was from a nurse that was at my colonoscopy, my opening party. And she was just calling in to check to make sure that everything was okay. On a Saturday, that is. So I said, "Wow." And she's calling from home. All right. But see, that's the way it is. I don't know how it is around the other states and part of the country, but you know, it's hard to want to leave Connecticut because of the medical system is so damn good. But here she is calling me up from home. All right, to check, you know, and I thought, well, you didn't have to call me from home. She goes, no, she says, you know, I call all the patients that were done the day before, regardless. She says it takes an hour, you know, and they pay her for it. So, you know, I said, all right, well, at least you can do it from home, which was nice. But, again, the medical system around here is pretty damn good. That's a hard one to beat, you know, so... That's why if we do move, well, if we do move, the thing is we're supposed to be moving. We're just looking for the right place. But at that point, let me put this screw back in so I don't lose it. Is that oil or is that water? Can't tell. But meanwhile, like I say, when, that's the question, when we do move or buy a place, we want to make sure that there is a medical university or something in there, you know, a college of some sort, you know, like a Yale. For instance, Gainesville, Florida has a good hospital. They also have a good medical university there. So we've been told, and my doctor always said, if you're going to want to move and you want to make sure that you have a good place, look for a place that has a teaching college, you know, one that teaches, you know, medicine or nursing or doctoring or whatever. And he says that more than likely you're going to have a good place. All right, so that's a good thing to look for. And luckily, you know, we were thinking about Ocala. Because we were told it's nice horse country. And when I drove through there every year when we went to visit my kids, we always liked it. And Gainesville, just being up above it, you know, what looks to be a few miles above, which is probably 100 miles. It's not that far. It's probably a half hour away. You know, it's a nice little community. You know, we found it to be nice. So he says, you know what? You know, anywhere's from... you know, in between Ocala and Gainesville, you know, in that area, or Gainesville itself, but just a little bit on the outskirts, you know, because we want to have a little bit of property and a little bit of privacy. You know, I don't mind having neighbors. I enjoy neighbors, but again, I don't want them where I can shake hands with them out my bathroom window. So, all right. So anyway, that's where we're at. So we're going to let that soak for a few minutes. I'm going to have another cup of coffee. And now that I'm not going to be doing anything, the phone will not ring. because it only rings. They must know. You know, that camera must be hooked up to the World Wide Web, so that everybody knows when I'm on the videoing, so they can call me. And my number must be posted up there as well. So, all right, let me do what I got to do. Now, if this happens to you where this does break off, like instead of me prying it out behind the spring, which would have been probably the right thing to do because that was on there and this was on there, and it would have been easier probably, but in this case, who knows, because this is frozen in there. I mean, it's been there for 10 years. So I'm trying to get this out now. So I have noticed by moving this around that I got that somewhat clean, and I noticed that this wants to come out as well, but I just can't seem to get in there enough to get it out. So the magnet works perfect. So now we are getting closer to the problem, as you can see. Because now I can actually see where the rest of it sits in to the housing. So now I can work on the heart of the problem because I finally got to it. So it doesn't mean it's going to be any easier, but at least I can see what I'm working on now. And I got a washer for inventory. So let me put my magnet back up there. That's where I keep them. And that's where we're at so far. Let's get a flashlight over here for a minute. Alright, now see, now you can see the groove to where it actually fits into the housing. So now I can probably get more lubricant or some type of a squirrel piss or or degreaser or gun cleaner, anything at all to get in there. Sometimes I find gun cleaner with the lubricant works pretty good for a lot of stuff, but it is expensive. So it's something I wouldn't really recommend. But meanwhile, that's where we're at. So again, I'm on my second cup of coffee, which isn't bad for this morning. It's probably a little after noon. Yeah, it's 12:24 Saturday. Again, the day is still nice. What I like to do is I have two things I have to do. Well, three actually, and then the order would be get this fixed, or at least get this out. And then Monday I can pick up the piece. Ta-da! It's out of there.
Managing blood sugar is a series of smart choices. And when you replace one snack a day with Smirnoff,
what a mess. I'm going to get in there with the brush and clean that up a little bit. So, now to be honest with you, it really didn't look too bad. However, what in here compared to what out here looked like, this was a mess. And this was all frozen, so this couldn't be adjusted even if you wanted to try to adjust it. So, yeah, it was time to replace it. It's not a big deal. However, the O-rings, I'm not going to save any of that. So I'm going to get in there with this little brush. I think I can get in there with this. Yep. And let's clean that up a little bit, guys. Alright, now did that really have to be done? Probably not, but I'd rather have it clean while I have the opportunity, because there was a lot of crud in there from, you know, well in this case, almost 10 years of cruddy. So now I know it's going to be okay, and I'll put a little grease on the rings when I put it back in. I don't feel anything to feel where it's out of place. Well, not so much out of place, but any ridges or anything. I don't feel anything other than what I'm supposed to be feeling. And now let's just throw some of this in there. Oh, looks much better. Much better. Sure, it gets bits all over my glasses, why don't I? Let's see if we can drain some of that water out of there. Still a little water in the pump. We don't really need that there. There. Put this back there. Now you know why my lens, see it? My lens gets a mess. And why I go through so many pairs of glasses, because I keep forgetting to put on my Captain Jerk shield. I should keep it nearby. If I see it, I'll put it on. But most of the time it's on the other side of the shop, and I never see it until I remember I need it. Like now, for instance. All right, hold on a minute. I'm going to drop this down real quick. Oh God, am I on or off here? Anyway, I don't know where this went, but I don't know if you've seen this little contraption that I put on here. I don't like to start this when there's no water in it. I don't like to start it dry. So what I would do is, and trying to start it with pressure on it, it's a pain in the ass. So what I would do is hook up the hose, bending down here, hook up the hose, go to the on-off valve on the house, turn the water on, load the pump up. Now this is before it's even started. Pull the trigger on the nozzle so that I get the water going through it. Then I go back to the house, shut the water off, come back here, squeeze the handle again on the nozzle to relieve any pressure. Then I start it because I got water in here somewhat. And then I start it, and then I run back to the house and I turn the water on slowly and I feed the pump. If you turn it on hard and you blow water into the pump, you're probably going to blow the pump eventually. I mean, even on the fire trucks, you don't just push the water in, you feed it slow. But at that point, and then the water's on. Well, it got to be a pain in the ass. I'm going back and forth, back and forth. So I hooked up this. One is, it brings it up here so it's easier for me to get to. Usually, well, there's a hose out there. I took it off for now, but there's a hose tied on here, a 50-foot hose that I keep wrapped around the handle here, and then I just attach into that if I have to. I can turn the water on in the house and don't have to go back. Turn this on, get the water into the system, turn it off, purge the system, start the system, gradually turn the water back on, feeding the pump, ready to go. So that actually came in handy. It was a little bit of a pain in the ass trying to put it together because I just got the urge to do it and I had to use what parts I had laying around. But to me, big difference. Definitely made life easier. Now this is this. You know, this. I guess I could try to find an adapter to go on here and bring it up and about. But I think the more direct it has, the better it will be. So, but I think I'm going to clean up a lot of these nozzles or these threads and things while I got it down. So, all right, I'll catch you later, guys. All right, so this is done. Once I get it working, I'll take it out there and clean it down, use it, and then get ready to winterize it.